Hello again, friends. This week we are making some humble crafts. Now, I'm not just saying that because they're made from items that you could have randomly pulled out of your closet somewhere, although that could also be true. But we're talking about humility. That's the theme of our lesson in our passage because we're looking at Philippians chapter 2 and how Jesus humbled himself to become a human and live with us, and how we can take after him and humble ourselves too. So we're going to make a couple of crafts, brainstorming how we can be humble servants like he was. Now the first one we're going to make today is a humble pie. So we're going to use a couple of paper plates. If you happen to have a pie tin on hand, that could work pretty well too. But what we're going to do is we're going to put these plates together, and then we're going to have a top layer and a bottom layer. So I'm going to start out by putting a staple in the very center. You could also put some glue or tape or metal brad fastener or something. But we're going to use a stapler because I can reach it just about right to the center. And that will get my plates together. Then I'm going to, on the top layer, I'm going to start off by drawing where I want my pie slices, quote unquote, to go. So I'll just kind of divvy this circle up. You can make, well, that was not straight at all. Maybe you want to use a ruler. You can make as many pie slices as you like, bearing in mind that you're going to have to come up with ways to be a humble servant. So I could make 4 really big slices, or I could make 8 kind of small slices. I think I'm just going to leave them like this and make 4 big ones for the sake of timing. And now I'm going to actually do the cutting part last, just because that'll make it easier to decorate. So I'm going to decorate the top of this. First, I'm going to add a caption. I'm going to say, humble pie, and here I'm going to put how to serve like Jesus. All right, so now this is kind of the fun part, because on the top layer we're just going to decorate these pie slices like pies. Then on the side underneath, down under here, we're going to be writing ways to be humble servants. But the top layer we're going to do now, you can do this like a crust, or maybe you want to get fancy. Maybe we'll make one piece and we'll pretend it's got kind of this like lattice crust kind of thing going on. Sorry, I'm a big fan of pie, so might be getting carried away here. And then underneath these yummy little crusty pieces, we're going to put some cherries peeking out, because cherry is one of my favorite kinds of pies. My absolute ultimate favorite is actually banana cream, which is a little hard to draw, unfortunately. So we're going to do this one with some cherries. Again, please feel free to get really intense about your pie decoration. We're going to do the abbreviated version because we don't have that much time. But we've got cherry here. And then over here, maybe I've got like a lemon meringue. So maybe I'm going to do it nice and yellow. And then put some toasted meringue bits on top. I mean, I know I said I wasn't going to get carried away here, but you know, here's my little meringue pieces, which I don't know, that looks like it could almost be banana too. It's up to interpretation. And gotta have an apple, which normally has like your traditional dome top on it, but we're gonna kind of just do this little like peephole business here, because you can make your apple with any sorts of holes to let the air come out. You can tell I'm definitely getting way more into this than I need to be, but hey, it's pie. Pie is fun. So, and hey, you could also make this a pizza pie if you want to go that route and put some toppings on there. All right, so we need one final pie piece. Let's say I'm going to do like a blueberry crumble. So I'm going to have some crumbly pieces on top here. These are my crumbly pieces. Just roll with it. It's fine. And then I'll have blueberries. Obviously, the pie is not the main part, but clearly it can be fun. And now we're going to be splitting this up. So we're going to cut, but be careful not to cut all the way through because then you'll just have separated pieces. So we're going to cut partially along those lines, which you'll draw much straighter than mine. And don't go all the way to the center. Go almost to the center, but not fully in there. Because you have to be able to lift these flaps up. Then on the underside, we're going to be brainstorming ways to be humble and serve like Jesus. So underneath here, here's one way that we can serve. So maybe we say something like, don't complain, even when it's hard. And you could even add extra decorations underneath too if you wanted to. So there's one way that we can be humble and be servants. Here maybe I'll say, let someone else go first. German chocolate, that's a good one I should have done. Maybe I just tuned that out of my mind because I don't like coconut, so it's not my favorite. But anyways, over here, maybe I'll say something like, give someone a compliment. See, I'm going to do the same thing with suggestions for my other craft, so I have to save some good, humble suggestions here as well. And then over here, I could say, do chores without being asked. And of course, you're going to cater this to the individual suggestions of your students, but have fun with your humble pie, flavored as you like, and decorated on the inside with ways to be humble servants. So that is our humility craft number 1. Humility craft number 2, we're going to use an empty container that gets filled up because Jesus emptied himself when he became a human. And then God elevated him and lifted him up to the highest position, the name above all other names. So when we empty ourselves and humble ourselves, God will allow us to be blessed and filled with his glory. That's kind of the idea we're going for. But we're going to take an old container. Again, you can use a shoe box or a tissue box or a jar or whatever you've got. And we're going to decorate this. And I would recommend you can wrapping paper or regular paper all around this if you like. I'm only going to do one side for the interests of time today. So I'm going to put a label on here, and then you can just kind of imagine what's inside. But we're going to tape or glue a label to the box. Actually, I should decorate it first prior to taping it, because it's easier to write before there's glue all over it. So we're going to say, Jesus emptied himself. And then we'll say, and you can put these on, if you're decorating the whole thing, you could have like different panels with different sayings on them. I can be full of humility too. Not to be confused with humiliation, of course, because that's a completely other thing, which maybe we're also full of sometimes, but not what we're going for. So we're going to put some stickers on here, decorate it however you like, and then we'll attach this to the side of my tissue box. You can put it on the top. You can surround the whole thing. Again, we're just going to do one side right now. so that we can move along with life, but you get the idea. You're decorating. You want it to be nice and decorated. So let's just stick this guy on here. Maybe I'll just kind of fold the sides over slightly. You can use glue or tape or whatever works. If you use glue, the only downside is you have to wait for it to dry. If you use tape, sometimes it doesn't hold all the time. So pick your battles. But after we get it, I'm going to fold the sides just so it looks like I've done the whole thing. But this is the abridged version, so I'm not doing the whole thing. After you get that on there, now I'm going to take some other pieces of paper, index cards, note cards, what have you, and on here I'm going to write down, again, ways to show humility. So I might have things like do the dirty jobs nobody wants. Maybe that's cleaning the cat's litter box or scrubbing the toilet or you know, the dirty stuff, the yucky stuff. So there's one way to show humility. Put that in. I'm filling this box with humble ideas here. Maybe another way of showing humility, of thinking, being selfless and thinking selfless, might be help a neighbor in need. And you could get more specific than that. You could say something like bake cookies or mow the lawn or whatever. And here's another way of showing selflessness. You could, this could be a way of being a servant or a way of being humble or a way of showing selflessness, kind of all these. We're getting kids to brainstorm these ideas about things that they can do, things that are specific to their lives. So it's a more meaningful activity rather than just decorating a box. Now we have to think about how we can be humble too. So we can say something like, instead of bragging, listen to a friend. Ask questions. So instead of being like, oh, let me tell you all about my awesome soccer game, you can ask them about their soccer game. It's simple enough, but sometimes for kids, we need that extra reminder. So now we have our box full of humility ideas and examples that we can sift through and talk about, what does humility mean? What is this? You could also put in here prayers, prayer requests, or prayers that you need to be thinking about. You could also put something like a Bible verse, a memory verse, something that you're working on. Put it in there. Lots of uses for a good old empty box. But the idea is that it's empty and then full. Jesus was empty and we are full. So that's the general idea for our humble humility crafts. Hopefully that helps you as you communicate this really wonderful passage from Philippians 2. That's great for kids to think about because sometimes kids are a little selfish. Let's face it, we all are, and we all need a little bit of humble pie. So take it, make it your own, do whatever you like, and come back again because we have new videos every week and lessons for you to use with your ministry wherever and with whomever it might be. Now go make some crafts, make some disciples. We'll see you next time.